Hi sewing friends, welcome to my sewing room. My name is Beth. It's nice to be sewing with you today. Today I'm making a Christmas sampler. Here's the sampler from a couple of years ago, and here's our first block for today. I'm excited to start a new quilt. Let's get started. Here's what you'll need for this beautiful block called Star of the Magi. You'll need some squares that are 2 inches, and I need 16 of those 2-inch squares that are green. Then I need some green squares that are 2.5 inches, red squares that are 2.5 inches, and some pink. These are sort of a background color, and I'm also using some white, and I'll leave the amounts down below. My 2-inch squares will sit off to the side while I use all of my 2.5-inch squares to make some half square triangles. I'm using the pink and the white as backgrounds, and I'll be making quite a few of these half square triangles. This block is actually a 64 patch. I know a lot of times on my channel I'll make a quilt block that's a 9 patch or a 4 patch, and they're pretty simple to follow along with and to see, but this actually has 64 different patches. Some are squares and some are half square triangles to create the block that will be a 12-inch finished quilt block. It should measure 12.5 inches when you're all done getting it all together. To make all of the half square triangles, I put a green square facing a pink square. I drew a pencil line and I put a seam on both sides of my pencil line, and I cut along the pencil line, and after I get all of these half square triangles made, I will press and trim them all to 2 inches. You do need an awful lot of these half square triangles, and I'll leave the numbers of how many below. You'll need some that are green and pink, green and white. There are 5 different combinations using these fabrics that I'm using today, and I did use a mix of green. I used 2 different greens in my quilt block, so that would change your numbers just a little bit, but I wanted it to be just a little tiny bit scrappy. There was quite a bit of trimming that needed to be done for my quilt block. I used a smaller ruler, and I put that diagonal line on the ruler right along that seam, and I trimmed away the excess. Here is my block all laid out. I know this is a vintage quilt block, and I was inspired by this older book I have in my quilting library, and I wanted to show you these templates that in the late 80s, this is how this block was constructed, by cutting out templates and using them as your guide, but today I'm using just squares and half square triangles. And I would advise, this is such a big block with lots of pieces, it might be nice to stop the video and look at the layout when you get to that point. This is the first block of a Christmas sampler, and I am really looking forward to getting this quilt together. This is sort of a design as you go quilt. I have a couple more blocks decided on, but I have not decided on the whole layout of the quilt yet. I like thinking about how to put the quilt together as I work. And so if you want to join me on this little adventure, I'll just give you one step at a time. This is the first block, and I'm thinking about making 2 of the same blocks, maybe make 10 different designs 2 times and having those 20 blocks in my quilt. I'm still thinking about it, but this is the first one, and isn't it pretty? I love green and red quilts. So this is going to be a fun one for me. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.